Hey viewers and friends, Andrew back again, and this video is dedicated to Frightmare100, aka Chris from the UK. He's fairly new to horror collecting and we've been chatting a bit, and he just asked me a few questions on some hints and tips to get into building up a horror collection. So I've decided to make this little quick video for him, or it might be not so quick. So hopefully it answers some of your questions and it's not too overwhelming, and it's of some use to you, Chris. So to those who have no idea who Frightmare100 or Chris is, I'll leave his channel link in the description box below. Definitely check him out, subscribe, welcome him to the community like you've welcomed me, help him out, and yeah, let's get another person building an awesome horror collection. So I'm just going to answer some of the questions you asked me, Chris, and just go over my collection a little bit. So as you can see in front of me, this is my overall setup at the moment. Very basic compared to a lot of people here on YouTube. That's one thing I will mention before I get into the video, is definitely check out people that you're subscribed to. Check out their channels and their subscription lists. It's a great way to meet a lot of different people, and yeah, I highly recommend subscribing to as many different people as you can. Get to know as many different people, because there's a great diverse bunch of people here on the horror community that are into all types of horror, and the majority of them are more than happy to help out. So that would be my biggest tip for YouTube. As for collecting itself, you sort of mentioned, is it good to get into a particular franchise or a particular genre of horror over another? If you're a fan of a franchise, I'd highly recommend probably building up each collection separately. It just makes it a lot more easier and more focused. So as you can see here, we've got my Halloween collection. I now own all the movies in the franchise, and I've got several editions of different movies. Like, I think I own like about 7 editions of the first movie. That's a really great franchise to collect, and there's some great editions like this box set, Blu-rays, DVDs, figurines, all that fun stuff. So if you haven't checked out the series, I'd definitely recommend it, especially John Carpenter. The original John Carpenter's Halloween, a must own. Next we have A Nightmare on Elm Street, another good series. It's probably my least favourite out of the 3 main ones, but overall it's still a lot of fun. The original A Nightmare on Elm Street is great, and if you're wanting a good horror title or you're into Blu-rays, this is definitely one to check out on Blu-ray. Great transfer, great movie. Then we have the Friday the 13th franchise. Out of the 3, this is probably, in my opinion, the most solid. I pretty much like something about each of the movies, even though some of them aren't necessarily my favourites. There's just standout moments in each of the movies, and the franchise as a whole has probably some of the best kills in the genre, period. Even the remake was good, so if you haven't checked out the remake, I'd recommend doing so. I had fun with that. A lot of people don't like it, but I do. I think it's a fairly good starting point to the series. Pretty much covers good moments from the original first 3 movies. So yeah, that's a good series to collect for too. Box sets are another good way of bulking up a collection fast, and an often cheap way to get a particular series or franchise built up fast and on the cheap. Just keep in mind, some box sets do lack the special features of individual releases, and sometimes 2 movies might be on the one disc, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, they're really good ways to make your collection look pretty good, and they look great on display. Here's some of them that I own. Now, you sort of mentioned, is it good to get into some of your favourite directors' movies? Most definitely. Yeah, that's definitely a great idea to do that. So if you've got any favourite directors that have done some horror movies that you haven't checked out. Definitely check them out. As for some directors that I recommend, and I'm probably going to be leaving some out, John Carpenter, Wes Craven, George A. Romero, Dario Argento, David Cronenberg, Ridley Scott, Peter Jackson. He's most of his earlier movies were horror related. Sam Raimi, who did the Evil Dead movies. They're just a few really good standout ones that are good to get into if you're not familiar with their movies. There are some others, but yeah, I know I'm leaving a lot of great ones out. Sorry about that. And you also mentioned, is it wise to collect for a certain genre within the horror? I probably wouldn't recommend that just for starting out, because I personally think if you're getting into it, it's best to have a fairly broad, diverse collection. Then after that, if there's certain genres that you like you might be really into zombies or slasher movies, then perhaps focus on a collection with that a little bit later down the track. But to begin with, I think it's probably a good idea just to get as much different horror titles into your collection as possible to begin with. So I'm going to go through my collection a bit and just mention some titles that I'd recommend checking out, just for different genres and stuff. If you've seen them already, I do apologise, and if you notice any movie in my collection while I'm zipping through it that you want me to discuss more or you want to know about, just let me know. So we'll take a quick look here. I've got some zombie movies there. 28 Days Later is a fantastic one if you haven't seen that. The Return of the Living Dead, classic. Creepshow's great. It's a great little horror anthology. The Birds, Alfred Hitchcock. Alfred Hitchcock's another good classic director to get into too. Carrie, Christine, Jaws, which you've already talked about. Then some Blu-rays. We've got Deep Red, Great Giallo, Child's Play, classic. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the George A. Romero zombie trilogy. If you haven't seen any of those movies, definitely check them out. Sam Raimi's Evil Deads, Shaun of the Dead, great British zomcom, highly recommended if you haven't checked it out, although you probably have. Night of the Creeps, great sci-fi horror zombie flick from the 80s. Psycho, I'm not sure if I've mentioned that one, but if you haven't checked Psycho out, do so. Slasher wise, April Fool's Day is fantastic. Child's Play 1, 2 and 3. Silent Night, Deadly Night, great Christmas themed slasher. Tourist Trap is a really underrated 70s slasher, highly recommend checking that one out. Then for sci-fi, you've got Event Horizon, that's brilliant. The Fly from David Cronenberg, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, 80s cheese. The Alien movies are fantastic. Stuart Gordon's Reanimator, fantastic. I'd definitely pick this one up if you haven't. It's probably, just a great horror movie, and probably the most fun I've had with a horror movie for quite some time. I've just watched this for the first time recently and really enjoyed it. I've also pulled out some others that are fairly standout movies to different genres. So you did mention Euro horror. I don't own too many, but I've pulled out some that I own. So the first one's a French movie called Them. I actually haven't seen this one, but I've heard a lot of great things about it, so could be one well worth checking out. Switchblade Romance is a French movie, definitely one to check out. This is by French director Alexandre Aja. Overall, he's another great director. He did the remake of The Hills Have Eyes and Piranha 3D. This is his only French horror movie though. Definitely one to pick up. Fantastic. Next we have Let the Right One In, which is a Swedish vampire story. Excellent. My Bloody Valentine, which is a fantastic 80s slasher movie. Trick or Treat is basically one of the best horror anthologies out there in my opinion, so if that's your thing, check this one out. Dario Argento's Suspiria. This is definitely one I think every horror fan should own. Really stylistic and pretty much like nothing you've ever seen before. The Burning, classic 80s slasher movie, really gory. Tom Savini did the special effects on this one. This one's a must own. Peter Jackson's Bad Taste. If you're a gore fan, this one comes highly recommended. The Changeling is a great haunted house movie. Great cast of characters, really good storyline. Pretty creepy in parts as well. Night of the Living Dead. This is my favourite zombie movie, I think. I absolutely love it. It's directed by Tom Savini. Great effects throughout. Awesome looking zombies. This is one of the few remakes that I'd highly recommend checking out over the original. And the last one that I absolutely adore is The Monster Squad. This is the perfect entry movie into the monster genre. It pays fantastic homage to all the classic Universal monsters like Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein, the Swamp Thing. Just a really great movie, so definitely check them out. So yeah, that's about it. I hope this video has been helpful to you, Chris, but as I said, if you've got any more questions, just don't hesitate to ask. Let me know in the comment section below or via private message and I'll try and help you out. And guys, once again, if you are not subscribed to Frightmare100, please do so. Please help him out and make him feel welcome in this excellent horror community that we have here on YouTube. So as always, thanks a lot for watching.